Good morning to you. Very quiet night here last night. I've got a relatively small journey to travel this morning. I go through one lock, and that is Swarkestone lock. I need to fill it with some water, empty my bins, and then I will go a little tiny bit further under a bridge just by Lowes Lane, and then just down the lane there is a garden centre where I'm meeting some friends for lunch. So I'm coming up to Swarkestone now. What do we actually have here? Well, there's a double lock. There is an area where there's lots of people mooring. They're permanent moorers. And then on the left-hand side, or port side, there is a great big skip for bins. So lots of space for rubbish. There's no recycling here though, I'm sorry to say. There is a water tap. It's relatively okay speed-wise. As I say, just round the corner there is the Swarkestone Garden Centre. There is a pub and restaurant right next to Swarkestone Bridge. There is a Texaco garage down on the main road here as well, which sells sort of essentials, a bit of food, not lots, but bread, milk, beans, bacon, that sort of thing, as well as obviously fuel. And that's about it. It's great for 3 and EE Wi-Fi, and I stayed here not last winter, the winter before, on winter moorings. This garden centre is a little bit of a hidden gem. It's on Lowes Lane. You can park your car or your boat really close to the bridge, either on the water side or the road side, obviously. And the garden centre has nice carveries on a Sunday and lots of meals during the day. It's quite busy, lots of teas and coffees, breakfasts in the morning, and I watch so many boats just go straight on past, and it's worth just to stop and have a cup of tea. Ragley Boat Stop is a good place to moor up. Wide selection of food, lots and lots of different types of beers and ales. There are electricity and water points. There's bollards next to the mooring. You do need to get a card, obviously, for the electricity, but that will also activate the water. With Swarkestone Garden Centre just behind me in that direction, just down the road from this bridge, is Merrybower Homestead. It's a small holding of just over an acre of land, and yesterday I went to see what they were growing. To the south of the city of Derby, set in open countryside, is Merrybower Homestead. Owners Duncan and Suzanne purchased 1 acre of land behind their house and have split it into 4 key areas. The northwest zone houses various fruit berries, vegetables and a raised bed for salad plants. At the back there's a large solar array feeding the sun's power back into the electricity grid. Later this year they plan to add a couple of polytunnels here to grow cut flowers to sell at the front of their property. They want to continue the allotment where they can grow a variety of fresh produce.
You've got this sort of the cerebral appeal that you know where it's come from, you know what's gone in, you know there's no chemicals that you've added to it, and you know how fresh it is. But then there's the very real one, which is a bit of a cliche when people say it tastes better. Well, it actually does. Things like fresh carrots that you've grown. I can't stand carrots, but from here they just taste different. Apples are different. Walnuts, freshly baked walnuts. I had them last year for the first time, and there's no taste comparison. To eat a packed walnut after having freshly baked walnuts is incredible.
There is nothing at all like going into the garden and picking your own vegetable or fruit and putting it straight on the plate and eating it. Strawberries at this time of year, you don't need any added sugar, you don't need ice cream, nothing at all. You just have a plate full of strawberries, dead sweet, absolutely wonderful. And because with growing your own, you have a glut of veg or fruit all of a sudden, and then you just freeze it, and then you've got that throughout the winter.
The southwest zone is home to a pair of geese. To the east of the site are the little and big orchards. Here are rows and rows of apple, pear, plum and cherry trees.
We keep chickens underneath the orchard because they take up the bugs, the codling moth caterpillars, that kind of thing, winter moth caterpillars. Things that are dotted around on the ground over winter, they scratch the ground up and kill that thing off. We chose light Sussex at first because they're a good dual purpose. They're quite a hefty bird, so if you wanted to eat them you could do. And as egg layers, they're a decent egg layer. But we've recently got into marsh daisies, which is an old Lancashire breed, rosecomb breed, and they're on a critical list. And we've sort of joined a programme with the RBST this year in the marsh daisy group to try and bring them back from the brink of extinction. And they're the perfect smallholder bird because they're not as large as a Sussex. They try and get the size up. They're a decent egg layer. Their eggs are fantastic, but they are gentle and they're very frugal at eating. They hardly eat a thing in terms of layers pellets, so they're cheap to keep. At some point you have to make the choice when you're doing this kind of thing as to how many chemicals you want to use, and in the orchard we don't use chemicals, so we let leach take its course. Hoverflies, ladybirds kill greenfly, that kind of thing, so we have some damage you can see on the trees, but we don't panic about it. And when it came to coops, we did start out with wood, and if you have untreated wood you'll be lucky to get 3-4 years out of a coop before it starts falling apart, so you have to treat it with something to preserve it. The other problem though is that you get red mite is a popular sort of chicken problem, and they suck the blood out of chickens at night time. They live in crevices, and we've found that by switching to plastic you minimise the amount of crevice that a red mite can live in. And I would touch wood, but they're plastic. But we haven't had red mite for about 6 years now.
I can check so she's got an egg. There we go.
Well, we've both got long-term health conditions that aren't going to go away, so we made a very conscious choice for this lifestyle because we wanted the exercise and we wanted the physicality of it, but also knowing that your fruit and vegetables don't have they're grown organically. We don't use any pesticides, herbicides, whatever else on the patch, so you make a conscious choice to put that into your body. And I think both of us, if ever we slip and we go on to processed food for necessity, say it's the winter time, we haven't got enough frozen or whatever, you do feel sluggish if you're not eating your own fruit and veg.
We've gone to the extent where when we're not working behind a desk we can come out here and do the work, and often the weather dictates when that happens, so that's your balancing point, the weather against your deadlines for work. But the fact that it's on our doorstep means we can just nip out, do a half hour, do an hour, do a couple of hours, and then get back in and do work, or work evenings. If we wanted to, you could give up work and you could come out here and do it full time, but then you'd have to make sacrifices in terms of equipment you could buy. You'd end up probably making more equipment yourself and making sacrifices there, and with certain sort of niceties in life you'd have to give up.
Thank you so much, Duncan and Suzanne, for allowing me to film their homestead. Now, having a homestead in the United Kingdom is quite rare. I know other places like Australia and especially in the United States, lots of properties have homesteads. But here in the UK, it's because I suppose land is at a premium. There aren't many around, and I spotted this one, and so I went to go and film them because I found it really interesting. Now, ultimately, my life long-term goal is to have a very similar property out in the middle of nowhere. Have some polytunnels, grow fruit and vegetables, have some livestock, and have my own homestead. That's my ultimate long-term goal. Be off-grid, obviously, have lots of solar. Now, I'm sort of halfway there. I live on a boat that's completely off-grid. Being a continuous cruiser, I have no shoreline, so I've got to generate all my own power. So I'm getting there. But my ultimate long-term goal is to also have a homestead. That's why I found it so interesting. So thank you, both of you. Now, another person I need to thank is Giles Davies. He is a top-level Patreon supporter, and it's so useful and so nice of people to donate and support Molly and I on Patreon. What I do with that money is I put it into an account, and that is mainly used for maintenance of Alice and for fuel. Now, obviously, moving 20 plus tons of steel around the network costs money in fuel, so that's where it goes. So thank you to Giles and all of the other people that support me on Patreon. I'm very, very grateful, and obviously I buy Molly a treat every so often. I'm continuing west, and then I'll turn at Willington and head down to Burton and then Fradley Junction, and that's where I will decide which way to go. So until next time, I'm going to carry on walking with Molly. It's a little bit warm today, but until next time, I'll see you later.